together with American songwriter, we had the chance to chat with Whitney Flynn of the band Days N Daze.
Adam was able to talk to Whitney on the phone and check out their 8th studio album called Show Me the Blueprints. It's out now on Fat Records.
And make sure to check us out on YouTube and Facebook at Bringing It Backwards, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bringing Back Pod.
And we'd appreciate your support if you follow and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to these podcasts.
We're Bringing It Backwards with Whitney Flynn of Days N Daze.
Oh my goodness. So yesterday I woke up at like 9 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Is it because of the time change?
Well, no, it's like I keep just like staying up all night and working because like our new album comes out. So I'm like trying to get like all of our legal stuff and all this like everything in order before we can like before next week. So like once I start, and I'm our manager also. So it's like I have like just tons of stuff to do. And I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. I saw that your band Days N Daze is originally from Texas. What part of Texas are you from?
The band, we're all kind of from all over Texas. I was born like on the border of Mexico and Texas, and moved to Houston when I was young. And Jesse is born and raised in Houston. Geoff lives in Austin, and Meagan lives in San Antonio, but we're pretty much based out of Houston. So yeah. So
you guys were in Houston already. How did you meet, Geoff and Meagan, if they're from, I've been to Houston once, and I know like getting to Austin's a like 3-hour drive or so. Like how did you guys kind of meet up?
Well, we met Geoff in Houston. Like we basically, our old gutbucket player had a kid, so he quit the band, and we had like an open gutbucket night.
Mm-hmm.
And Geoff was at our show and like got up on the bucket and started playing with us. Right after the show, I went up to him without like telling anyone, and I was like, "Hey, you should quit your job and join our band." And he was like, "Okay." And it's almost 8 years later, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Meagan, she's like always been a part of the San Antonio music scene, and basically like the Houston and San Antonio's, like all of our like DIY scenes are pretty close knit together. And just by going to shows and like hanging out, we met. And Jesse and her ended up going traveling and hopping trains together and stuff too. So once his sister quit the band, it was kind of like a no-brainer just to be like, "Hey, Meagan, come play music with us."
Yeah, nice. So tell me, Whitney, how did you get into music originally?
I've been playing music my entire life. Like I learned how to read music before I knew how to read books,
Wow.
My grandpa was a saxophone player, and like kind of forced me into like going to piano lessons when I was a kid. And then I started playing trumpet when I was like 12. And I guess like a few years ago, I learned how to play guitar and ukulele and stuff. So yeah, my grandpa was definitely the biggest force of like, especially blues and jazz, like that influence on me is like insane.
Mm-hmm. So you said you started playing trumpet like pretty early on. The first instrument you learned though was what, piano, you said?
Piano, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was in like high school band. So I didn't even pick the trumpet. They were like, "No, you got to play the trumpet. You were like made for the trumpet." And I was like, "Okay." And
why
so
did they say that?
Is
there any reason behind that?
Well, it's like I have the right lips for it.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, it's like super weird, but I guess just like my armature is like pretty like dead on for playing the trumpet. So
nice.
I was kind of like a natural into it. So yeah.
Cool. And then what was your first like performance? Did you do piano recitals and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I did a bunch of that. I was in choir, but I got kicked off. So
Why'd you get kicked
out? Because I couldn't sing good enough, which is weird because I sing for a living now.
I know.
So
I
it's
was
like
just gonna say.
super weird. I also used to like my biological dad like was like I don't know, he did like these church concerts, and me and my two older sisters used to like sing like a song in front of like people at church.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear my sister turned off my mic because no one ever gave me a compliment ever. Or I was just horrible at singing. I'm not sure. But yeah.
So would they compliment her?
Yeah, both my other sisters, and I would be like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I suck at singing." So when we started the band, I would basically just like whisper and sing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of just awkward, and especially when I started like screaming, Jesse was like, "Just whisper into the mic," and I was like, "Just give me a second break." Like it was so weird. But then when I went off and traveled by myself, I needed to make money to like eat. So that kind of forced me into like learning how to play the uke. And I had to sing louder because people wouldn't give me money if I was like being a weirdo and whispering, you know?
Yeah. So you were like busking?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it kind of gave me the confidence of being like, okay, like if you want to eat today, you better like learn how to do this. So
sure. How old were you when you did that?
I was like 21, 22.
Okay. So
the band had already been going on, but I still hadn't like really found my voice or my confidence in like my like I want to say like signature sound of like singing into like my growls and stuff. So yeah.
So you said you were traveling and that's how you kind of learned?
Yeah, definitely. But that was like the moment where I found my voice. Like, yeah.
Okay. So what did you like? Where were you going? You just said, "Hey, I'm gonna jump on whatever train or whatever," and just
pretty much. Like, my grandfather was like, he was my dad, and when he passed away, I kind of just was just like, all right, I'm a dip. Like, I'm done. Like, I was like, the band pretty much took a hiatus for like a year while I went out to Wyoming and then up to Maine, and kind of just disappeared. Like, while I tried to process like my best friend and my father, like, you know, not being here. Sure. So, but then when I came back immediately, me and Jesse like got together and wrote Google Death Machine and got right into playing music, like back to playing music constantly and putting out Rogue Taxidermy like pretty quickly after Google Death Machine. So it was kind of like I just needed not only to get away from like the tragedy, but also get away from like, I don't know, just get myself into like an like uncomfortable place, I guess, like outside of my comfort zone to force me into confidence to come back with a bunch of songs written. And yeah.
Nice.
So it worked out for sure.
Yeah. Did you start playing with Jesse before starting Days N Daze? Like how did your like music career kind of go?
Well, I graduated high school a year early, and
oh wow, did you just take more classes than you're supposed to, or you're just
like I basically went to like after my like junior year, I went to a alternative school where they just like gave you packets, and they were like,
yeah, we have that.
Here's all the they're like, here's all the packets. If you get all these done, then you can graduate. So I just sat there, and in 2 weeks I graduated my senior year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, and my graduation, like my ceremony was during a fire drill. It was hilarious. And they were like, just put on this black robe and take a picture and you could leave. I was like, and I don't have to come back? And they're like, nah, you're fine. I was like, okay.
Isn't that amazing that there's so much useless work in school
my God.
that like you can do an entire year in 2 weeks? And
yeah, I think it's more like conditioning, you know what I mean, of routine. Like it's like so brainwashing. It's like, no, I just need the knowledge. That's it.
Right.
That's fine.
Give me the work you
the
need
rest
me
of
to
it,
learn, and I don't need to be in here doing all this other garbage.
Yeah. So after I did that, I went, I applied to one school and I got in, which was crazy because my best friend was going there. And
where did you go to?
Jesse,
did you went to college?
I went to Texas State University.
Okay.
And Jesse was like, yeah, fuck this. So he dropped out of high school and moved to San Marcos with me.
Did you guys? So you knew each other? You knew each other when you were in high school, the two of you?
Yeah,
Okay.
we So basically, we met when we were like 15, 16 years old, and we ended up like being engaged for like 5 years, and like so we were together, and he moved with me, and we were like we stuck out like with like a sore thumb. We were just, I mean, I'm horrible at like making friends because I have like the worst sense of humor. I just like really bad jokes, like like, oh, what do you call a bear with no teeth? I'm like, a gummy bear. Hilarious. Everyone else is like, oh my God, please shut up. But so we didn't really fit into like any sort of like niche in San Marcos, and Jesse brought his guitar and we just started writing songs and started playing like an open mic show like at the local coffee shop, and we started like burning our four song demo and going to like the grocery store and just handing out our mixtape in the like parking lot and stuff. It was pretty goofy.
That's awesome. So you guys recorded you recorded something?
Yeah, we recorded our like first 4 songs like on the computer. We had like it's like the infamous Radio Shack mic. Like,
oh sure.
It was so, I don't know. Our setup was pretty, I don't know, pretty elementary, I guess, like, or juvenile.
Yeah, but you just at least got something recorded and you're able to and show it to people.
That's in our paper bags. Like, we just took like paper bags and just threw our CD in there, and we were just like giving them out for free. Like, I don't think we even started charging for CDs until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We have professional CDs now, but we try our best to burn as many like just regular CDs like as we can, so we can still give them out for free at shows and stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we try to like I don't know, just to get into kind of like political stance of the band is like a huge part of like the music industry is like classism, and like sometimes people can't afford that $10 like iTunes record. Like people can't afford like a $20 vinyl or something. So like we always try to give as much as, like of our music away for free. As far as like internet streaming goes, is like you can pay $1 for any of our songs on or any of our records on Bandcamp. You don't really need to go to these other sites. You can just like pay us what you want. Like, and yeah, because I mean, not everyone has like just money. You know what I mean?
Right, totally. That's awesome that you
So
guys
it should
do
be
that.
accessible to everyone. I don't know. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that first recording, were you guys called Days N Daze at that point yet, or were you just?
Yeah, I mean, we never even really had a full-on discussion of what our band should be called.
Okay.
It was just like me and Jesse were just sitting like on the porch, and I was like, we should come up with like a band name. And he was like, what about Days N Daze, but like spelt weird? And I was like, okay. And then that was the entire thing. And 12 years later, we're just like still doing that. So yeah.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that's rad. So the first record you guys put out was We Never Said It.
We never said it was good.
Yeah.
I feel like we were always like, let's set the bar really low. You know what I mean? So when people are like, this is total trash, we're like, yeah, it's good trash though, because that's our symbol is like the fishbone, and it means like good trash. So we're just like, here it goes.
That's awesome.
And then here goes nothing. Like, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And was those first records were all self-released, weren't they? Like even Rogue Taxi.
Yeah, we have all of them except for Show Me the Blueprints is all self-released and all recorded by Jesse. So you can really not only see like our progression as songwriters, but as musicians, and Jesse's incredible ability to do sound like
produce and stuff.
Like it's incredible. I mean, he's my best friend and we've known each other for so long, and just seeing like his progression in music has been like a really beautiful experience. So
nice. Yeah, because you've seen it grow from when you guys were like in high school on till
yeah.
now. That's awesome. So then, well, now the most recent stuff is going to be put out on Fat Records, right? You guys signed to Fat Records?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So
that must
crazy.
Have been like mind blowing to be on.
It's so crazy.
Pretty much the best punk label there is.
I know. Like honestly, it's been such an incredible life-changing experience, just going from like busking and like playing at house shows to like going on big tours and traveling the world, and being able to start kind of a new chapter of like our band. It's kind of like most bands are like, okay, we get signed and then we start our career, but we kind of did it backwards. We're just like, no, we're gonna like just work our ass off, and then like hopefully like someone will appreciate that and help us get to a broader audience. And that's what they did. And me and Jesse always like, we're very, very adamant about our morals as far as our band goes. Like do whatever the hell you want, as long as you're not hurting anyone, and work with friends like that appreciate and that you trust. Like, and so I feel like, I don't know, the universe kind of just was like, okay, here's friends, and here's people that appreciate your music. Here's people that you can trust. And it's just awesome. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, how did you guys, I want to talk about those first releases. So you put everything else, like you said, you guys are all self.
Yeah. And I've been our manager. I've been our manager for the past 12 years. I booked every single show, except for like the 4 that Jesse booked before. I was just like, no, you shouldn't do this anymore.
Why was that?
For like,
weren't that great show?
Well, no, because our like first tour was 3 months long with like 4 shows all across the country. So we couldn't like go back to Houston. We just had to stay out on the road.
Oh my.
And we basically just we've like, those Ask a Punk like shows.
Yeah.
That's what we would do at every single like town we went in. And we would just show up at the show and be like, hey, can we play before or after the set or in between sets or on your like, and if they're like, no, then we would just go outside the show and just like busk. So
And you
after
just show
that,
up
I
to
was just
other
like,
band shows, like whoever was playing.
yeah. We would just knock on doors. I mean, this was like grassroots kind of like guerrilla style.
Totally.
Everywhere that we went, we would just be giving out our CDs for free and like playing wherever we could.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you book those? You just cold call venues and stuff in the beginning and say, "Hey, we're
no, we wouldn't even. Well, I guess like after that tour, that's when I kind of like my first year at Texas State. I went to business school. Like I'm pretty like my brain is kind of wired for like spreadsheets. I love them. So after that tour, we definitely networked during that time, and I was able to kind of figure out this whole DIY network of promoters and bands, and went from there and ended up booking us like even through our first European tour for 9 years. So now we're with Crawl Space Booking, and they do a great job. They know how like particular I am, and how passionate I guess I am about making sure that we're represented correctly, and like that there is like that whole like, I don't know, making sure that I don't know. I'm just rambling now.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, just making sure that things are done like you guys have
I mean the most infuriating thing for me, like being in the music scene for so long, is like, okay, first off, I'm in a acoustic band, which, when the first time that I ever met our booker, like they were like loading the stage before like we were even like done clearing off. Mm-hmm. And I had we used to play with our shoes off, and so I had glass sticking out of my foot. I was bleeding.
Oh my gosh.
And I look at him, I'm like, every single electric band gets 15 minutes, like 10-minute load in, 10-minute load out. I was like, you can't sit here and pat our heads and be like, get off the stage. Right. I was like, no, we get just as much time. And he was like, okay. Like me and my sassy game, almost like, So we've been, after that night, it was just like, hell yeah, I fuck with them. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And being a woman in punk, it's kind of just like, being taken seriously with like a band with two females and like a gut bucket and a washboard, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. You probably
know what I mean? Just to be like,
people.
Just kind of like, I always have like, even nowadays, I get like weirdly just defensive of like, of what we are, just because it has been so misrepresented in the punk scene. And I feel like being signed now, it's kind of given us a lot of validity in what we do, which makes all of those like those passionate screams, right,
worthwhile.
Doing my whole Whitney thing.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely paid off.
So how are you guys able to just do that? Like, I mean, to put out, let me see, like 10 albums.
Yeah.
Without any label backing, were you guys just touring constantly? Like how? Yeah,
definitely. This quarantine has been like insane, because I did go through this like mass wave of depression, because I was like, I haven't had more than 2 months off in 10 years. Like,
wow.
I don't know what it's like to just live somewhere. I don't like it. It's just like, I can't comprehend it, just because my entire like formation of me being an adult has been on the road. So
sure, yeah.
But yeah, just networking, like being like a nice person, you know what I mean? Like, and being down to like party and like interact with your fans. Like that's been the biggest thing, I think, is it's like always friends, not fans. Like we do our absolute best. All four of us try our absolute best to engage as much of ourselves as we can into the people that like listen to us and who like we would be nowhere, like, you know, we would feel still lost and alone without like the people. Like it's basically just like a mirror. Like it's like, no, you're okay, we listen, and you make us feel not alone, which makes them or us not feel alone, I guess.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, you have that connection with your fans. It's not just we're gonna play the songs and peace out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we're very community minded. Like, you know, we try our best to do as many benefits as we can. We try to like support the people that support us as much as we can, and in turn, I mean, all we can do is just like be forever grateful for the people that have gotten us to where we are now, you know.
Yeah, sure. So what was the decision, like how did you guys get connected with Fat Records, and what made you guys pull the trigger on signing with them?
Well, it had to be like 3.5 years ago, maybe. My partner now, he was my friend at the time, Scott Sturgeon. I was in San Francisco, excuse me, for like 2 weeks, and he called me up. He was out there, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to this dinner party with me? Like, I don't want to go alone." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And it ended up being at Fat Mike's house, and so it was just like,
you got invited to a dinner party at Fat Mike's house?
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't. It was just like a dinner. You know what I mean? It was just Fat Mike and his partner, and then me and my friend at the time. And I think it was pretty. I mean, I'm just an awkward person already. You know, I have like this weird like stutter that I'm like, I don't know, when I get anxious, I'm like, "Oh, hey, everybody." I'm like, "No." But I was just like sneaking my vodka, and Fat Mike was doing the same thing. And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then we just started talking, and like, I guess over that next year, we just like kept running into each other. And he was just like, "You know, like, I like your music." And like, it took a minute for me to be comfortable, because I was like, I want to make my own record label. I want to do all this, you know. But when the shows got bigger and when things kept moving faster, I didn't have the time to dedicate myself into making my own label, because I was like, I have to prioritize. Like, these shows are the most important. Like, getting this music out and writing music is the most important thing right now. So after a while, I was like, okay. And Fat Mike was just like, you know, I didn't learn what I know now without being signed at first, which that was kind of a huge turning point in me, and hearing someone that I respect, like, taking that leap into doing their own thing after they had learned like the ropes, business. You know? Totally. Yeah. So it was kind of like a no-brainer when we were all friends, and when it was something like people that I do genuinely trust with the integrity of our music and of our band. So
yeah, I mean, you're signed to the coolest. Aside from like Epitaph, I mean, Fat Records is pretty much the gold standard of punk labels.
Yeah, and it's just really cool. I mean, especially coming like being a quote unquote folk punk band that like half of our like instrument lineup is just like an 1800s like laundromat, you know. It's kind of it's unreal, honestly.
That's awesome.
And yeah.
Well, tell me about the new record. You said you have a new record coming out in a couple weeks.
No, on Friday.
Oh, May 1st, right?
Yeah, that's why I've been like going crazy at like working so much. So much. I mean, I don't even want to say this, but I will just because I barely have a filter. But this quarantine has just kind of been this weird like thing that's helped me because I don't know how I would be keeping up with this amount of work if I was on the road.
Yeah, so
right
you almost
now,
have time to sit and like digest everything that needs to get done for the album, as far as like business wise.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like I don't even like thinking about it because it stresses me out. Because I mean I already have to do so much work on the road anyways. But this is like double time, you know. It's like it's like the super grind, you know.
And this is the first record on Fat too, huh?
This is our first time ever being signed ever. So it's like it's a whole new world. Like I am sitting here being like, okay, I gotta like basically I just learn every night that I'm just like working until like the morning like comes. I'm just like, okay, I don't know what this means, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
And then I figure it out, do it, and then you move on. So it's been very stressful, very like knowledge driven for sure. Yeah.
Probably very exciting too to be able to.
Oh my gosh, I feel like a kid. Honestly, I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it's funny every time like I come back to Texas, my grandma's always like, "Are you famous yet?" And I'm like, "Not yet." I'm like, so
you guys are doing really well. I wouldn't put that downplay it. You know what I mean?
I know. I just want to go home, like, and tell my grandma and be like, I made it. Here, let me buy you a house and give you everything in the world.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, well, this could be it for you guys, you know?
I hope it's just the start, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a whole new chapter of like coming from 12 years. It's kind of like, it's almost like a reset button of being like, okay, that was that one. Like, let's do another 12 years and see where that gets us, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, when me and Jesse were like 15, 16 years old, we made a pinky promise that we would never be alone. Like, we would never leave each other. So it's kind of like Days N Daze is just inevitably going to last forever because both of us are way too stubborn and like, I don't know, prideful to ever break a pinky promise. So, yeah.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Whitney, so much for talking to me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
So much. Honestly, my biggest thing would be to really take every opportunity with like the fact that it matters. I guess like if you meet a promoter, just really put it in your brain that this kind of like the respect and like the give and take is what builds a foundation of the reputation of your entire band for the rest of your career. Like just take everything seriously, even if it's a house show, even if it's in front of like 5 people at at an anarchist like bookstore, because those are the things that kind of build on to later on. And it's just creating a community of support around you that will sustain you for the long run, for sure.